Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, my last cruise on the Sun Princess happened during St. Paddy's Day, and here's a t-shirt that folks gave me, and on the back it also says, "Who needs luck when you're so full of charm?" So I appreciate that. Just wanted to show off this shirt as well. But we do have some cruise news going on right now. We have some arrests. Remember when they had those 69 Bolivians were in Barcelona and they got detained because they had improper visas? Well, there's been arrests over that situation. Royal Caribbean has removed a free perk from their key program, and some passengers aren't very happy with this. We also have 38 people on a shore excursion near Cartagena had their boat capsize and turn over and had to be rescued by nearby other vessels. Finally, after that, we'll talk about Super Mario, the gentleman who has now been named Royal Caribbean's top cruiser. So first off, we had a cruise ship in Cartagena, and they had 38 passengers that were from the cruise line on a shore excursion when high winds and high waves caused the vessel that they were on to capsize and overturn, sending them into the Caribbean Sea. Well, not a fun excursion for people who are not expecting to take a snorkeling trip, shall we say. And but thankfully, everybody was rescued from nearby vessels that were there and nearby other excursion vessels, as well as pleasure boats were in the area. And of course, the rescue ships that showed up from the police force in Cartagena as well. It doesn't seem like there's any long-lasting effects other than being a little bit shaken up. There were no big injuries according to the news broadcasts, and apparently everybody was back on board and sailing to their next destination. But I bet you they'll be thinking twice about jumping on a boat in the future. Especially, I'm on pleasure boats all the time. And so, yeah, it is odd for this to happen. It makes you wonder why they would set out on a boat in high winds and waves if it was maybe not unsafe to do so. There probably will be a little bit of an investigation into that situation. Speaking of an investigation, well, last year, 69 Bolivians were caught by MSC Cruises when they tried to unload into Barcelona, and they were told, hey, these visas aren't correct. And they actually quarantined the ship and wouldn't let anybody off the ship. And these 69 passengers ended up having to be flown home from another destination. Well, they did launch an investigation. And last week, they're not releasing any other details other than to say there were 5 arrests in the phony scam visa in Bolivia. So apparently they tracked them down and they found out who some of them were, and there's been 5 arrests going forward. Curious to see if there's anybody actually in the visa office that may have been issuing these things falsely. Could be a very interesting case going on forward, but arrests were made after a year, but at least some were made. Next, we got 2 Royal Caribbean stories. One, Royal Caribbean has quietly started removing from some sailings as early as this month and next month from certain vessels that more and more people are starting to notice that if you book the key, depending on how long the voyage is, your cabin type, etc., it can cost up to $50 to $60 a person per day to get these benefits. And one of the benefits was, of course, you could get priority boarding, priority disembarkation, a complimentary lunch in the main dining hall on embarkation day, a breakfast on disembarkation day, seats in the theater for the main shows like the aqua shows and the ice skating shows and the theater shows. And another key one that they give was 20% for specialty dining discounts, but only available on day 1 when you get on the cruise, subject to availability. Now, most people who are booking their dining are booking it way, way in advance, right? Especially if you want specialty dining of any kind. So that's not really a perk that they can use too often unless they just forget to book their dining altogether. But another one that was there was free time for only key members in the flow riders on the cruise ship. Well, the flow riders are free normally for everybody, but this was private time for less people, which means you could go and use the flow rider, longer, presumably. Well, it seems that they are removing that from the system, and instead they are offering a 25% discount on sporting. They're not really telling you what the sporting stuff is. Now, it could be the rock climbing wall. It could be the zip line. These things are normally free, but the IHOP where you're skydiving, that's not normally free. So it could be something like that. Any of the paid things on board that other than, that's already free, that could be it. It could be just exercise programs while you're on the ship. Those could be an extra charge, and those could be the discounted items. But they're saying to enhance the guest experiences, we're listening to you, and that's why we're making these changes. Well, a lot of people are saying, hey, that's not an upgrade. You're taking something that we got for free, and you're replacing it with something that we have to pay for and get a discount. That's not an upgrade. That's a downgrade, any way you look at it. I guess it all depends on your perspective. But how about this for perspective? Many of you know him as Super Mario. No, not the Nintendo character. Super Mario was nicknamed back in 2000s because of how many times he was on cruises. Well, he just received Royal Caribbean and named him Royal Caribbean's top cruiser. Now, as an example, he's been traveling with that cruise line for 25 years. He's accumulated 12,000 plus points. He books an average of 75 cruises a year. In fact, it's probably known that he's normally at home less than 2 weeks a year. The rest of the time, he's on cruise ships. So he's very well known in the Royal Caribbean family, etc., and they have honored him now, congratulations, as their top cruiser. And no wonder if you're just basically living on a cruise ship. He is a financial worker, and so he can work from online with the Zoom internet quite fast. I'm sure he's very happy with the speed that's increased over the past 8 or 9 years on their ships. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? How long would it take you to hit 12,000 points with Royal Caribbean? I mean, their highest tier is 700 points. That just lets you know how many times you have to cruise to get 12,000 points. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel blogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.